we've been saying every game, due to a bug around Aurelian Soul stars becoming invisible sometimes, he has been disabled on all competitive games on patch 8.12. So we do jump into the draft. Unicorns of Love are on the blue side, with of course Sheepy at the helm, and Yamato Cannon on the side of Team Vitality. And of course we had that very important poll earlier today. Who wore the crazy outfit better? Foxtrot last week, Yamato Cannon. This week is a lot more subdued, a lot more business.
It's the pinstripe that really goes well with his attire. He has blood in the tie because that's what he's looking for in today's matchup, trying to bounce back after what was a rough week 2. So far, no rapid fire bans coming out from either side. Looks like Unicorn just kind of sticking with general meta. Talia, Zoe taken off the board. Interesting Aatrox ban. They want to take that away from Cabo. He has been playing quite a few carries up on the top side. Not really unconventional for him, but his Ornn is something worth respecting as well. So I wonder if Unicorns will look to take it away. 2
games of Darius for Cabochard, 1 game of Aatrox. The split, his Aatrox game went 5 kills, 0 deaths, 2 assists. And obviously it is off the table. Dr. Mundo is the final ban to round out Alistair and Trundle on the side of Team Vitality, but I guess Irelia is something that's screaming out to me.
Yes, it is, but we've seen Yasuo kind of come out as an answer. Swain is another champion, but has also been through. Oh, and we get the Nocturne. This is so awesome to see. He has been banned so often, not only in the ULCS, but all across the world. This guy is just such a strong champion in the current meta, and I can't wait to see Kold.
Coming into this day, 10 Nocturne bans, that's excluding the 3 previous games. And the response here, Vedius, is near instant. Swain and Pyke.
And I think that's a bot lane instantly locked in for Vitality. They could look to flex the Swain into the Irelia matchup, but you have so much kill pressure with the Pyke and Swain down towards the bot side that it could be an option for this Vitality squad. We saw Fnatic draft it last week, and it resulted in a lot of success. Funnily enough, it was against Vitality. Maybe they've learned a thing or two since that matchup.
All right, let's see what Kold's going to do on this Nocturne. First time he's going to be playing at the split. The Irelia was locked in, as we've mentioned. One of those sort of top priority picks, or you know, higher tier picks. And to round out phase 1, I'm really trying hard to avoid that word. I was trying so hard. And to round out the draft, for phase 1 rather, it's going to be a Tahm Kench. So I'm a little surprised by that. Does that give you an indication of, you know, what's going to happen if you know Pyke's going bottom? Is this...
Well, they're expecting it to be a kill lane. They expect the Pyke and the Swain to be going down towards bot, so they want a bit of extra safety and security. It becomes a lot harder to kill an AD carry if a Tahm Kench is there. And once again, we see Cabo going back to the Darius. It's interesting that he's choosing to blind pick it. This will give the Unicorns of Love an option to counter. And over in the Eastern Hemisphere, we've seen things like Kennen come into fruition as a potential answer. So I wonder if that will be one of the options for the Unicorns of Love. We do know that they're not afraid to bring out some unique stuff on the stage.
What else could be a counter? You know, what other options do we have? We assume Exileh is going to play Irelia in the mid. We assume Kold will take that Nocturne. And we enter phase 2 of the ban. Sejuani off the pool, Ornn taken away as well. So top laner and jungler respectively banned out. Vitality, will they remove yet another top laner? Give Cabochard a little bit more of a comfortable matchup. You know, the Aatrox was taken away earlier as well, Mundo. So a lot of the picks that we are seeing a lot of are gone.
So one champion we could see that I think wouldn't be an amazing matchup, but makes sense in terms of the comp, is a Shen for the side of the Unicorns of Love. Nocturne combined with the Shen actually is a really effective engage tool, and also if they're going for a kill lane bot, having the Tahm Kench plus the Shen gives you a lot of globals and a lot of map moving options, while also looking to play through the bot side of the map should you want to. So I think it would give the Unicorns like quite a lot of options. It would just be a pretty rough laning phase during the early stages. So we'll see if that is a potential option. It depends if they're willing to run the risk.
Please help me understand the Mordekaiser ban.
They're assuming that the Swain is going mid, Darius top.
Okay.
They're considering picking a melee matchup down in the bottom lane, and so they want to take the Mordekaiser off the board because they don't want to run the risk of playing against what can be a very obnoxious matchup. Over in the LCK, we saw Mordekaiser being picked bot as an answer to things like Yasuo, which is really obnoxious. And when you have so many melees, Mordekaiser just, it's a lot easier for him to deal his damage.
Well, obviously, because if they have to jump onto you, you get all of your abilities guaranteed to hit. But obviously, he's on the ban pool, so thank you for explaining that to me. Gilius is going to lock in the Skarner. So I am seeing a terrifying frontline melee comp coming together already. if they can stick to you, if they can get past whatever Unicorns of Love are putting down, it is going to be a Ryze. So Ryze, Tahm Kench bottom lane.
Yes. Into the Swain Pyke. That's what they're expecting. But remember, you can also flex the Irelia down towards bot as a potential answer. You also kind of have the option of Ryze top, but less likely. I think the Vladimir makes a lot more sense. Unfortunately, it's not a cannon. But I wanted to throw that out there just in case. I think Vladimir works just as well. Gives you a little bit more sustain, gives you a couple of more extra escape tools as well, and it can be rather challenging for Darius to keep you locked down. So team fighting from the Unicorns of Love, very, very good. Very, very good.
And Vedius, well, what did we say this game was going to be? This was going to be a bit of a bloodbath, a bit action
fighting, action. It's going to be like a... It's going to be like a Transformers movie. Just
Michael Bay
everywhere.
explosions everywhere. We better make sure we got some oxygen tanks on standby. And of course, Team Vitality will round out their team composition with a Renekton. So is this Renekton mid into Irelia? Darius top into Vlad?
I think it's
Darius into Irelia?
Darius mid, Renekton top, Swain bot.
There we go.
This was the flexibility that we talked about that you could do with the Darius. And interestingly, of course, because you can flex the Ryze and the Vladimir and the Irelia as well. Remember, 20 seconds is the cutoff point, ladies and gentlemen. Once you hit that mark, that is the locked-in positions.
What would you like it to be? 10 seconds, go.
So, I want it to be Irelia bot. I want Vlad mid, Ryze top.
Okay, let's see. 1 second, lost a swap. Not going to be the way that you want it. Vlad into Renekton, Ryze into Darius. How does it impact your preferences?
No, I think that's okay as well. But remember that just because they're playing the champions doesn't mean they're going to those lanes.
Oh yeah, thank you. thank you. I'm very glad you brought that up. Of course, the players can change lanes. She'd be definitely very focused. Rushing backstage to see where the team is setting up. As you look at the team compositions on your screens, reminder that the Versus event is going on in client. Jiizuke has sided with God King Darius, going up against Garen. Who would pick Garen? If you pick Garen, you're wrong, and I hope your faction loses. There's one guy in the audience with his hand up, and he sucks. All the rest of us pick Darius.
I pick Garen.
You suck too.
I pick Garen.
Deadly serious looks on the face of Gilius right now, sending some last-minute prep to his team. Okay, Vedius, opening 5 minutes of gameplay. Where should our observers... Where should we be looking?
Every lane. There's a kill lane bot from the side of Vitality. Is Darius in the middle lane, and you got a Renekton up top. Vitality are saying, let's go, we're ready to fight. The crowd is amped. QuickShot and I are amped. We're ready to see some action because, you know, HK versus Splice, it was a calm, methodical, it was a smart game. It was a gentleman's game of League of Legends.
Almost like cricket.
Now we're down on the streets, you know? Things are about to get messy. The rules are gone, and we're just going to have action all over the place. And we're starting off with a bit of level 1 craziness up towards the top side. A bit of a unique strat. We haven't really seen this anywhere. Are they going to try and set any vision down? Doesn't look like it. They kind of wanted to set up... Ooh, they're going for a bit of a delayed invade.
Okay, let's see how it works out. In terms of First Bloods, Vitality have picked up First Blood in 50% of the games, so 2 of the previous. And taking a look at UOL, 3 out of 4 games, slightly more effective at getting those early kills. There's no kills picked up yet. 1, 2, 3 teleports on the side of UOL, and it is matched by Vitality. So a lot of map play, and it doesn't look like we've got any shenanigans yet. The lane assignments are as we saw them in picks and bans.
Yes, and I think that's best case scenario for Unicorns of Love. And let's use this opportunity to talk a little bit about the matchups, QuickShot, because Ryze versus Darius, probably pretty uncommon to many people. Ryze is a champion that many people have seen multiple times. Typically, you just want to get that tier as early as you possibly can, but he is also ranged. And as an inherent rule in League of Legends, you can safely say that ranged champions are difficult for melee champions to deal with. Why? Because it's just poke after poke after poke. And as you can see, it can be challenging for Darius to really get into range to trade with the Ryze. So he ends up getting chunked out, and he's going to be forced kind of low during the laning phase. But what he can do is have good wave clear, because he uses his Q to effectively hit all of the minions, and sometimes he's going to be able to hit Ryze as well. So you're just going to see a lot of back and forth, but once Exileh completes the tier and starts working towards the Rod of Ages, this matchup's only going to get harder and harder for Jiizuke in the middle lane.
Obviously, support staff here for Vitality backstage. Hello, Dog. Dog, best dog. I believe the dog's name is Spoos. I don't really know how to say that. I imagine there's a French accent. and he won't respond to it. No, production just lied. It's just Spoon. Apparently it's just Spoon. Really animal-based cast today, which I will move away from in a moment or two. But I want to bring up just a couple more numbers. When we're looking at this game, we know that both teams like to fight. Both teams are fairly active in the early game. Vitality in particular, just a little messy, a little rough around the edges. This is a team that dies a lot pre-15 minutes. And we looked at their average this summer. On average, 8.5 deaths at 15 minutes, Vedius, in week 2.
Yes, last week was definitely a rough week for them, as we see a bit of trading in the bottom lane.
Good damage on the Totoro. Very good flawless duet from Samux. But Jactroll and Attila, they're just keeping the pressure on.
But yeah, so 8.5 deaths at 15. The reason why, on average, last week, and the reason why that's important is because Vitality are quite an impatient team. When they fall behind, they don't like to stay behind. They like to group up, they like to force plays, they like to be active on the map. And sometimes they don't always take into consideration the risks that are associated with some of the plays that they like to make. This means that when they are behind, they end up dying a lot more than they would typically like to. So if they end up falling at a deficit, the one thing you always have to be careful of is they are not afraid to keep fighting you, and they will find ways back into the game.
I think it's important to mention that the way Vitality play from behind is proactive ganking, etc. And we see other teams defensive play to, starve resources from the opponent. Didn't quite see how Jiizuke took a whole bunch of damage. Can only imagine stepped into a room prison and took a few overloads to the face. Taking a look at Jactroll, he's going to find himself the hook on that skewer, but nothing's going to transpire just yet.
Yeah, and this kill lane for Vitality, so far working as intended. With the Ryze, you have a little bit more wave clear, and you're forced to play on the defensive because Pyke is constantly looking for hooks and setting up this chain CC.
Oh, such a good play here. Of course, in combination with the Swain, the amount of CC and chain CC is redonkulous. Going to interrupt Exile's back. He was trying to be cheeky. Now finds himself in front of Jiizuke. Jiizuke lands the apprehend as well as a near point-blank decimate. Exile's running low on mana. And the crippling strike comes down, and Jiizuke is not going to be able to follow much further. Kold's presence going to push Vitality away. 5 minutes in, no kills yet, but a lot of early trading already.
You really don't want to trade with a Nocturne in the early game. My favorite line to say about Nocturne is, if you are standing on top of his Q, you are going to lose that fight. He's only level 4, and he gets 30 bonus AD from that Q. That is 3 longswords at level 4, right? He is going to out-trade everyone. By level 9, he gets an additional 60 AD. So it was wise for Vitality to back away, because they realized that even with Exileh having no mana, they could not afford to go for that trade. In the early game, they weren't going to win.
Well, let's take a look what happens. Totoro's already gone for a roam. We've heard how Exileh gets camped for. Here comes Kold and Totoro. Teleport's coming in from Vitality, but who will it be? Ignite onto Jiizuke. He's flashed forward for the crippling strike. Teleport completes. It's Cabochard that arrives to the party, and nobody dies just yet.
And this is something that Vitality do a surprising amount. The moment a fight starts in mid lane, everybody joins the fray. Both TPs were used from Attila and Cabo to join the fight in mid to try and generate a numbers advantage that could result in kills for Vitality. But unfortunately, they couldn't find anything. Instead, they just get a bunch of flashes out from the side of Unit.
Vitality were ready to respond to the mid lane pressure because everybody knows UOL like to play around Exileh. We've talked a lot about how Kold camps for mid lane, and for those of you unaware, there's a Top Gun sequel coming out. Kold will be starring in that, and his wingman throughout the summer split has been Totoro. They spend a lot of time in proximity of one another in the early game. You saw that in the gank middle, even though it didn't work out in the kill.
Yeah, it's one of that duo. Ooh, hang on, we don't have time for that as we see a ganking top, but WhiteKnight playing Vladimir is like, haha, I am out of here. So to backtrack to the topic that we were talking about, Totoro recently has been roaming a lot more than he has in the past. And that's a really big deal for the Unicorns of Love, because Kold was a big facilitator for a lot of the early game action that happened with this team. And the problem is all the pressure kind of fell on him to make stuff happen. Now that's not the case. Totoro being his wingman means that he offers that extra bit of support that enables more options to be available for the side of the Unicorns of Love. And that does put Samux in a situation where he kind of has to 1 versus 2, but on champions like Irelia, he seems to be doing just fine. So we're seeing a lot of play around mid lane. It is giving Unicorns of Love the early advantages that they found, especially last week. and it's enabling them to respond to some of the early pressure that Vitality is setting up.
It's just really exciting to see the development. You know, Kold was brought onto UOL, definitely stepped into that leadership role in the spring split, and now is starting to show some development. The team is 2-2. They're showing some growth in the team. Unicorns used to be quite famous for that ARAM style comp, and Kold, by the way, has got access to his Paranoia.
Exactly that. Level 6 now on the Nocturne. I'm looking at this bot lane specifically because if you're going to set up a play, there's not a lot of mobility in this 2 versus 2 from the side of Vitality. And once they hit level 6, ideally, is when they want to fight. This is a little early.
All right, not just yet. Samux and Totoro getting close. Kold's going to back away. We're going to go back to that story, seeing some development. All right, Flash Impale's available, and Jactroll's making his way up. Okay, if Exileh steps forward, this could be first blood for Vitality. Apprehend comes backwards into the Decimate. Exileh already used the Flash. Now Kold's decided to engage. He's standing on top of the Dustbringer. Lots of damage going down, but it's Kold that gets dunked. Jactroll takes him out, and Exileh is left wondering why his jungler dove in.
The roam from Jactroll is what swung that fight in favor of Vitality. Things were looking good. Kold with the ulti, turnaround with Ryze on the backup. They should have been able to win out on that 2 versus 2, but I don't think the action is over yet.
No, it's not. All right, Vanguard's Edge available for Samux. He's already got the dashes from the Blade Surge. The ultimate will find some additional resets. Lots of jumps available, but once Attila throws down the Demonic Ascension, he's turning it around. Flash forward, looking for the burst and the kill. That's already one onto Totoro. Flash forward from Jactroll. The Bone Skewer not going to find a target because it's on cooldown. It was a Phantom Undertow. And Jactroll just a little unlucky to not find Samux there.
But what started off as a proactive play from the Unicorns bot lane ends in disaster. Before we even get to that, we got to go back to mid. Exileh, he gets pulled in by the Darius, and he flashes immediately to avoid getting pulled in. And now Kold thinks that they can go for this 2 versus 2. He thinks they're guaranteed to win it, especially given that they have a TP advantage in the top lane. But it is the roam from Jactroll. He has the ability to so quickly move up through the river and turn the fight in their favor. And you think, okay, well, now maybe they can turn this in their favor in the bot lane, but when you think about a Pyke versus the Tahm Kench, you just don't have the same amount of damage, especially Samux in these early levels. I don't even think that he's got himself the Sheen just yet. Or maybe he did, but in that situation, they weren't able to win. Attila had the level 6, and they were able to turn that around.
So, Vitality get the first 2 kills of the game. 1,000 gold up. We're approaching 10 minutes on the clock. Now, this is a very good start. We've looked at pretty much every lane with the exception of WhiteKnight and Cabo. Just a little bit of trading between them when Gilius went to gank. And I want to see how those two decide to get involved. Cabo used that teleport earlier. Didn't find a kill. WhiteKnight managed to dodge a gank. Here comes Jactroll, looking for that Phantom Undertow. Manages to get a good skewer. That's why the Tahm Kench was picked up, Vedius.
Yes, for this extra bit of safety. Not all-inning, usually why you want to kind of avoid it. But now Vitality, they've built themselves up a bit of an early game lead. They have their eyes set on the mid lane.
Right, they do indeed. Exileh's fought a little bit out here and will go down. That is absolutely an isolated death. Nobody in range, and just a good gank from Gilius.
Thing is, in a 1 versus 1, Ryze does absolutely fine against the Darius. But the moment you bring someone else into the equation and you close that gap, it becomes very easy to get kills, and Vitality, they're after more.
All right, there's a party in the bottom lane. Samux will buy some time thanks to the Devour of Totoro. Still inside the belly of Tahm Kench. Will get chunked down and caught out. Gilius throws down the Impale. 5 members of Vitality are going fishing. Totoro manages to survive for a few seconds longer while Kold is still staying alive. Jiizuke is looking for an additional kill. Finally takes him out. That solo on the back end. 2-0-1. Exileh completed the teleport, and 5 members of Vitality are chasing. A skewer connects Exileh. He's taken out. Totoro's killed as well. Vitality 7 kills to 0.
Vitality pick up 4 kills in that exchange, and they're even able to keep their top tower alive as well. Unicorns are crumbling under the pressure, and QuickShot, it looks like the Vitality of old are back.
What a turnaround in this game. It's 5,500 gold to lead. Tower first blood, 7 kills to 0. This is how it all started.
So they have push in the top lane, and they use that to TP down towards bot. Cabo cuts off the escape route of Totoro, and there's nothing Kold can do because even Jiizuke shows up. At this point, you just have to cut your losses and get out. But Exileh TPs in onto the tower thinking that he can somehow salvage this situation. He has to recognize that there's nothing he can do. He's effectively 1v5, and Vitality, they're more than happy to die.
So well played. Jactroll tanking the tower for as long as he needs to, and Vitality just come out. Total damage dealt in that last fight. Of course, WhiteKnight did not TP in. Vitality clean house.
And right now, it's just Vitality being the ones to make the first move. Unicorns have quite a few options available to them, but the thing about their comp is it is a little bit more in terms of scaling. They don't have those raw numbers that a lot of the draft that Vitality has. Like, you think of Renekton, you think of Darius. These guys just do a lot of damage just through levels, whereas Exileh, he needs that first item. You need the Trinity Force on Irelia, and they're leveraging that. They're moving Gilius around the map, they're trying to force skirmishes as often as they can, and they're the ones consistently coming out on top.
And this is kind of the Vitality that we really enjoyed watching in Spring. Lots of proactive early game plays, you know, really willing to pick fights. Cabochard, by the way, is lingering right behind Exileh and Kold. Exileh and Kold are going to turn this one around. Totoro's going to come in as well. That's a flash from Cabochard. How much further will they chase? Paranoia is a few seconds away. Realm Warp's coming down. Cabochard stays alive. He manages to take out Totoro before going down. While that's going on, Vitality get a tower in the mid lane. Cabochard in a 3v1 gets the kill. Not done yet. Vitality, with the help of the Rift Herald, will take 2 towers in this middle lane. And it is monumental control for Vitality.
And they have their eyes set on the top lane tower as well. WhiteKnight, he doesn't have many options in this situation as Vitality look to collapse.
Oh, Impale's available. Gilius is going to catch WhiteKnight. Jiizuke is going to look for the kill. Apprehend's available. Will he need it? Not going to just yet. Dunk! Death from below. Jactroll sends him packing. Vedius, 10 minutes ago, we said that in week 2, Vitality died on average 8.5 times in their games. They've turned that around explicitly well this game.
And Cabo, you've got to respect the durability in this man's play. In a 1 versus 3, he sees an opportunity and just alls in Totoro. Only level 6 on the Tahm Kench, tries to tank the tower and a Renekton, and is unfortunately unable to do so. This is not the wingman that we expected to see coming into week 3, and Vitality are doing what has found them so much success in the past, getting an early lead and never letting it go.
Yeah, I really have to double check. I think actually Goose died in the film in the original, so I have to look that up, so that might be why. 0-3-1 for Totoro, but I think crucially for the Unicorns of Love, they're 5k gold down, but they've got those first item spikes. Archangels is stacking, Proto Belt for WhiteKnight, Samux got that Trinity Force, so if they can find skirmishes where the gold difference isn't quite as substantial, for example, Cabo's 1,000 gold up, Jiizuke's 1,000 gold up, Attila 1,500 gold up. So in the smaller 1v1s and 2v2s, you don't feel that quite as much. And that's where UOL are going to have to try and use the combined power of sort of Nocturne, Ryze, Irelia, you know, go forward.
At this point, Unicorn's best hope is they got to rely on a late game team fight. Like, you have Ryze, Vlad, Irelia, really good team fight champions, and maybe you can win. Like, the problem is because they're relatively short range. It's actually pretty easy for a Renekton, a Skarner, and a Darius to get in range and deal the damage. And if you were to fight now in the mid game, you would just instantly lose. So you've just got to stall for as long as possible. I'm talking like 4 or 5 items, and then maybe you can win out on a couple of fights. But basically, they're kind of relying on Vitality to mess up in this mid-game point.
I mean, it's just a melee. You know, 9 out of 10 champions are melee range. Right, Realm Warp is actually coming in. Kold's going all the way forward. The unspeakable horror was used. There's an apprehend onto Exileh. He's forced a flash already. Vitality have already got themselves one. That's a solo kill for Jiizuke. No assists needed. The teleport's complete. Vitality ready to respond. And they get themselves 2 quick kills.
And Unicorns, they wanted to try and get something back. They wanted to try and be proactive and punish Jiizuke in the middle lane, but he is tired of getting caught out. He is tired of dying isolated, and he turns it around with the help of his team, Vitality. They secure another 2 kills, and they have their eyes set on another tower.
Largest gold lead at 15 minutes for Vitality all summer long. 5.5k. As Vitality going to take down their 4th tower in the top lane.
You know, we said this was going to be a brawl, a back and forth, but this has been a beatdown from Vitality as they have not gone easy with their punches against the Unicorns of Love. Kold, he just wanted to get an ulti down, set up the rest of the team to try and find a play. There's that 3-man squad of Totoro, Kold, and Exileh, but Jiizuke flashes back in, says, "You're not going anywhere." drags in the kill that he has in his eyes and secures his team extra kills.
I'm really happy to see some development for Gilius and Jiizuke. Jiizuke in particular has had a very rough start to the summer split. He's died solo in lane several times against players that he did not die solo to in the spring split.
He was solo killing.
Exactly. So, you know, complete opposite. But 3-0-5 on this Darius. Yes, there have been ganks and support. But it is the performance that you come to expect from Jiizuke. You know, one of the new rookies in spring that was keeping that whole meme of EU mids alive.
Yep.
And I want to see whether or not this is one of those turnaround games for a team that has proven to be quite momentum-based in Vitality.
Oh, they certainly are. Oh, look at
Cap.
Oh.
I mean, that is...
He did.
That is insane. He was 3-1-2, Essence, Reaver, Phage, and Tiamat. And he just deleted Exileh with one rotation. And that allows Vitality to keep the pressure. I mean, they're on the inhibitor turret at 18.5 minutes, Vedius.
They are snowballing this game, QuickShot, and UOL are running out of answers. They're just waiting for Renekton to push in the top wave, but they don't have, in fact, what am I talking about? Maybe they just wait for Baron to spawn. 9,000 gold, 80 minutes in. You know, we did say this game was going to be a little different from the Unicorns versus Splice 1. But right now, Vitality, 12-1 in kills. I reckon they're just a little angry after last week, like after getting crushed by Fnatic, and what was a pretty devastating loss to Rockout as well. I'm sure they've come into this week saying, you know what, we can turn this around, and so far they're doing it.
Yeah, they want something to prove, and Unicorns of Love are trying to do the same. All right, Jiizuke's running for his
highlight.
Round Warp is in there. That's a what? From inside the belly, I think. Exileh goes down. Jiizuke, I saw that too. I'm pretty sure the guillotine came down after the Devour. I really hope we get a replay
If he got the heal from the Q, he might have been able to turn that one around. But that was a highlight reel in the making. He was ready. He's like, oh, I can make it happen again. Unfortunately, 3 members were more than enough to take down Jiizuke.
Okay, so Jiizuke gets caught out, isolated.
Yep.
We talked a little bit about both Unicorns and Vitality having a lot of isolated deaths, a little bit messy, a little bit rough around the mid-game. But for Vitality, I think it's slightly different reasons to Unicorns. Vitality tend to get a little impatient. They like to force their lead. They like to be very, very dangerously proactive in their position.
We talked a little bit about this early into the game and how when they do fall behind, they don't really stop when it comes to trying to make plays, but this time around they have the lead and they're just constantly pushing it. And sometimes that confidence can do you harm. But it's important to recognize, as you rightly said, that they're kind of dying isolated for different reasons. UOL were just getting caught out left, right, and center in week 1, whereas for Vitality, they were just kind of overextending and trying to make things happen independently of each other, and that allowed the enemy team to just constantly punish and take advantage of the mispositionings from Vitality. So this time around, Jiizuke will add his isolated death count. At least this time, he gets a return kill.
Yes, he does indeed. 2 kills to 13. 5 towers to 1, 9,000 gold in the lead, and Vitality need to set themselves up for a Baron. They've got all the tools they need, they've got all the gold and the items and the advantage.
I don't know how fast their Baron is, though. They don't have an AD carry. Swain's not the fastest Baron taker, and I think they want to ideally find a pick before the Baron actually starts. Whether or not they can find it is another question. Drake also spawning, but here we go, Vitality.
All right, there's a very good impale onto Totoro. He can't devour himself. Grayskin will buy some time, but simply not enough. Sanguine Pool comes out, good damage from the Hemo Plague, and that's going to pop a few members low, but there's not enough to close it down. Paranoia has already been used. Exileh and Samux looking for a re-engage, and Attila's going to escape with his life. Vitality find the pick, but is it enough? That's a flash upper hand from Jiizuke. Knocks in guillotine. 1, 2, dunk, dunk, dunk.
Vitality find a successful fight, which should result in the Baron. Unicorns were caught completely unawares as Jiizuke once again flashes into the fray and brings his enemy to judgment.
I was caught unawares. Jiizuke from out of nowhere allows Vitality to secure an uncontested Baron. This is a dominant performance from Vitality, who were 2-2 coming into this game.
A big shift after week 2. Many wondered whether or not they'd be able to bounce back, but it feels like the momentum is back in their favor. The flash onto Totoro, probably not the best target that you want to be killing in this situation. Unicorns of Love did what they could to try and turn this fight back in their favor, but the best they could hope for was to disengage. This is really where the turnaround happens. Keep your eyes on Jiizuke. He's walking back. He's saying, you know what? We're heading towards Baron. It's not a big deal. Flash is in, drags both Samux and Exileh down. You have the combo with the Swain as well. And with all the chain CC and with the additional damage, Vitality just cuts through the Unicorns of Blood.
For the 16th time.
For the 16th time.
But the thing is, you actually can't read too much into this single game or single performance, because when you have these type of bruiser v bruiser comps or melee v melee matchups, it is so heavily snowballing.
Can be.
Seen so many games go this way, and so many games where one team with these kill lanes just pulls ahead and then accelerates a ridiculous amount. UOL could do exactly the same thing tomorrow to bounce back, for example.
And the reason is because these bruiser comps have really strong mid games. And the thing about them is, if you get an early lead, you reach that mid-game spike faster, and that is when you're strongest. So that's when you look to be the most proactive and when you try to force things. And right now, Unicorn's trying to force a play.
They are indeed. Kold was trying to find a kill, but it's not going to be enough. WhiteKnight forced to Sanguine pull away to safety. The mid inhibitor turret was taken down, and Vitality, with 2 minutes left on Baron buff, they're going fishing. Jactroll goes to the Ghost Water dive, charging up the Bone Skewer. Will not find himself a catfish for dinner. Instead, Vitality will be content with the inhibitor, and they slowly start to back away.
Renekton, though, has gone down towards the bot lane to start pushing out that wave. Top, I believe, is slow pushing in favor of Vitality as well, so they just need to be a little bit more patient. But I'm sure they'd like to secure another inhibitor with what's left of the Baron buff, as Jactroll looks for a hook.
13,000 gold more than the Unicorns. That's what Vitality are playing with. The Rune Prison onto Attila means he takes a lot of damage. Vanguard's Edge comes out. This is the final fight for UOL. Already, Samux is down. Nocturne Guillotine comes out, as well as the Demonic Ascension from Attila. Vitality are melting through Unicorn's HP bars. Exileh is the last man standing, trying to escape with his life. The Pyke not going to find the target, but Attila does. Exileh will survive for now, but the base will not. The inhibitor's going to fall, and Vitality turn their attention to the Nexus.
Vitality dismantle, crush, destroy Unicorns, and have bounced back from their 0-2.
In one of the most one-sided games of the split, Vitality take down the Unicorns of Love.
In such convincing fashion as well. So many kills, very fast-paced game, very fun to watch. And Jiizuke certainly returning to form.
Very, very nicely done. Smiles across the board for the Vitality squad. Team that we were calling the most exciting rookies that we've seen on the stage.
Yep.
Now the pressure's on. They placed 4th in spring. They've got a few championship points under their belt. They do not represent EU at Rift Rivals, and in summer, it's about this run to World. It's about getting as far and as deep as you can, and relying on these performances to amp you up.
They certainly will. They do have a couple of championship points after finishing 4th, and they could use those, but I'm sure they'd love to win the entire split. I feel like that we're on track for another very competitive split, at least towards the top end of the bracket, with right now how all these early game points are what are dominating our league. We'll see how long that lasts and if these teams can continue to form, as week 3 is already off to a chaotic start.
Somebody needs to check on Jiizuke's hand. I think he punched the camera. That
happens
mouse hand.
every week. Someone always does it.
Unicorns of Love, on the other hand, crushed. Very one-sided affair. Cabo, Jiizuke, Gilius, it really took over. And I think it was the roaming that really unlocked the game. The amount of dives in that bottom lane. Samux and Totoro never really got a chance to get going because there was 5-man dives for like 7-8 minutes.
I think that, remember, for Unicorns, their comp was a little bit more geared towards the scaling aspect. And even after a couple of the item spikes they do have, they still wouldn't want to fight Vitality in the mid-game. So I feel like that they were kind of limited in their options, and they were pretty reliant on Kold and the use of a Tahm Kench ulti to try and move around the map and use a numbers advantage to find early kills. But unfortunately, they weren't able to do that because it was Vitality who had their finger on the trigger faster. Jactroll roamed up mid and had a good counter gank against Kold. Every time Kold tried to move somewhere, there were always more members of Vitality. And I think where it really just kind of fell apart was that play down towards the bottom lane. That 5-man tower dive, the fact that Exileh TP'd in and gave an extra kill over to Vitality. That was when things kind of fell apart and Unicorns couldn't really find a way back in.
The thing is, I'm very happy to see the performance from Vitality. I'm very happy to see the turnaround. Not happy to see the solo death still, you know, because you could get a little caught out. It's those little lingering things, right, that I still want to see cleaned up. that, in my mind, is what will take Vitality from that 4th place team to the contender for 1st place. If they can tidy up some of those messy moments that they have had consistently this year, Vedius.
Well, that's the hope, but we do have an entire regular season to do that, and beating Unicorns of Love will, at least for the time being, keep Vitality within range of the top spots.
Yeah, I actually think we might have a replay of that tower dive in 11 minutes, where absolutely everybody got involved here, Vedius.
Yes, they certainly did, and again, it's important to note how Cabo was freely able to TP down bot. I'm surprised that Vladimir didn't get involved, but I guess he looked at it and said, oh, okay, there are 5 members there, I can't really do much. Oh, and his teleport wasn't even available. So Vitality just using the teleport advantage to actually force a play down bot. And it was that TP from Exileh that really was like a thinking face emoji blitzcrank, because I don't know why he got involved in the fight. You already see that you've lost it and you're just giving a free kill over to the enemy team.
And that was the beginning of the end, really. Just continue to go downhill. So we've got a couple of nominations for you guys, player of the game, as we do mini games. Jiizuke, Cabochard, or Attila.
Wow.
Twitter at eSports. You know where to vote.
Got to go to Twitter and vote physically.
Yes, you do. I mean, with a mouse and keyboard.
With a mouse.
That's how you do it.
That
For a little bit more on exactly how Vitality won, we're going to head to Medic, who's talking to Jiizuke.
Thank you very much, Trevor. I am joined by Jiizuke. Congratulations on the win. First win in a week and a half or so. I want to talk a little bit about you personally. A lot of people have said that you've underperformed at the start of this split compared to last split. What is it that's really kept you down up until now?
I agree. I underperformed. And the reason why is that just I think last split, personally, I was ahead, let's say, in confidence and matchup-wise on anything. And since the meta was 1, you didn't really have to switch anything, so how do you play the game, it was 1, and you just had to learn now, and then you were on the top. Now the meta is always different, always changing, and last week and 2 weeks ago it showed off that I underperformed a bit. Like, I played Talon into Lulu, for example. I played that matchup maybe twice, and I went against Betsy, and he did something that other mid laners didn't do, and it caught me by surprise. So I think that's mostly why, but I think I will get to that confidence back in the weeks to come. I think it's only the first weeks, it's only the past that will be like this.
There's still a lot of time left in the split for you really to get to that sort of level that we saw in Spring Split. You mentioned there that it's hard to know the matchups because you haven't got that much experience playing them. How difficult is it as a team to really adapt to this meta when each game is something entirely different?
Like, scrims are really weird. You have a headache after every day of scrims. You learn every day, and just today I played the Darius Ryze for the first time. I never played this matchup, but it just happened, and I guess this is what this meta is about. Like, I was like, what should I do in this matchup? And then I guess level 6 we kill him. Yeah, that's all we can do.
It worked out well for you. You and Gilius combined really well. But I want to talk a little bit more about that, because as a team, Vitality have always had these, lots of different carries. You've got Gilius, you've got Cabochard, you've got Attila, even Jactroll getting in on the action today. Do you think that as a team you have an advantage because no matter where the meta goes, you have a carry in that role?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think all our team is performing right now. Cabochard can play tanks at top level, carries at a top level. Mini is just playing every champion in the game. Jactroll is performing like a monster. So I guess we are just good right now.
Whole team seems to be on form. Looking at the best teams in Europe at the moment, people will put Misfits up there, G2 up there, Fnatic up there as well. Do you think that you're at the same level as those teams, or do you think you still have some way to go?
Not sure. Well, only time will give us this answer. We will see in the next weeks.
Sounds like the sort of answer of someone who thinks he's up there but doesn't really want to say it out loud. Is that true?
Like, we lost against Fnatic last week, and it was a total stomp by them, so I'm looking forward to prove wrong for the next weeks against G2, Misfits, and whoever.
Well, we get to see Fnatic play up against G2 after this. It's the match of the week. We have our POV stream as well with Whippo on the camera. Make sure you stay tuned. That's all up right after this.